everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today I have something very special for you all. For those unaware, I just recently hosted a Wings of Fire design contest. It closed on Friday, and I finished reviewing every character you guys sent in. And oh boy did you all deliver. The goal of the contest was to create the most unique or opposite Wings of Fire OC you could think of. For example, a Skywing who's scared of heights, or an Icewing who loves the desert. You guys sent in so many fantastic entries, almost 500 of them. While I'd love to show every design, I'm unfortunately only able to include the highlights because of how many I get. So today I'm going to be giving you guys the top 15 reveal. It's going to be a lot of fun, and stick around to see if maybe yours made the list. But before we begin, a huge shout out to my patrons, as always. Dragon1195, Slightest Wild, Fizz, Thistle, Noobto, Pyro Nuke, and Avril. Thank you all so much for supporting me. Links to their social medias are in the description down below. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. We're going to be starting from 15 and working our way all the way up to the grand first place winner. These were all judged based on design. Coming in at 15, we have these three amazing group designs by Tabby Star. Here's what Tabby Star had to say about their story. These characters are named Foxfire, Red Star, and Spark. 2,000 years ago, when Darkstalker was banished under a grave of rock, some of his dark magic still prowled the earth, plaguing dragons at will. Three of these victims are the dragons you see here. Foxfire is an Icewing, plagued with black scales instead of Icewing white, and born with the ability to summon fire instead of ice. He was cast out of his home, the tribe claiming him to be the reincarnation of Darkstalker, and he was chased away. Red Star is a Nightwing, her genes fiddle with give her albinism, forcing the Nightwing to try to kill her as a dragonet. She only escaped with the lonesome scavenger. Spark is a Skywing, whom the curse transformed upon hatching her to become a scavenger. She heard rumors of the mysterious curse of Darkstalker, searching the lands for others like her, so she could figure out the mystery. The three eventually finding each other, together they scrounged up the most ancient legends to figure out what caused their misdeeds, and how they can reverse them. First off, I absolutely love the concept here. It's so interesting to imagine storylines relating to stray bits of Darkstalker's magic. Each of these characters have amazing designs. I love the beautiful colors used on all of them and the patterns present on Red Star. The creativity here is just spectacular, and I really love how these three turned out. Amazing work, Tabby Star. I love these so much. Coming in 14th place, we have this special Skywing made by fifth letter of the alphabet. Soot is an Ash-scale Skywing who hates heights and flying. He doesn't understand the joy in flying or open spaces. Like, why would you fly when you could be exploring caves? Well, this may sound like a claustrophobe's nightmare, so it has a very good reason for it. With many Skywings having prejudice against ash scales, Soot has been placed in danger many times. And what better way to avoid the danger of Skywings by going somewhere they hate? Underground. Besides, he enjoys exploring caves and the alone time he gets. So to him, it's a win-win. His scars are from multiple different things. When he was burned by his twin, when he got attacked, and from tight spaces and caves. I just adore everything about Soot's design. From the amazing ash-like projection on his face to the colors all over, especially the way the brown on his underbelly contrasts the shades of gray everywhere else, this character is phenomenal! There's such an interesting premise behind him too. As soon as I saw this submission, I knew I just had to talk about Soot. Fifth letter of the alphabet, this is incredible! Next up, in 13th place, we have Sneakers 2's entry, which is this stunning Mudwing princess. Here's how Sneakers 2 described her as being different from the rest. Buttonbush is a Mudwing who hates getting dirty. As Mudwing princess, she is rather spoiled and loves wearing jewelry. This is pretty odd for a Mudwing, but even worse, that she can't stand mud or anything else that could stain her fashion. Most Mudwings think she's rather stuck up, but she doesn't care as long as she can stay as clean as possible. Oh my goodness, I love everything about Buttonbush's design. The beautiful colors, the shining jewelry, the patterns, the horns, all of it. This is just remarkable, and it's so interesting to see a Mudwing who doesn't like anything dirty. It completely goes against how the tribe lives, and that opens up the door for tons of possibilities. What a gorgeous character design, and there's one that's such eye candy that caught my attention immediately. Very well done, Sneakers, too. This is such impressive work. Coming up in 12th place, we have this amazing Rainwing designed by August. Here's what they had to say about Elegance, their submitted character. This is Elegance. She's a poacher that works for a hidden Rainwing society called Rug, or Rainwing Unique Society. She lives in a little cocoon-like home, and she was born as a carnivore. It was not a life choice. She is most commonly seen with her signature bow and arrow with the carving of an E on it, for her name. A carnivorous Rainwing, whoa, that's something I've never seen before in an OC. August picked such stunning colors, and the beautiful combination of brown and pink just works. The bow and arrow have such an amazing design as well, and I love how much it matches Elegance's scales. The patterns on the wings are just to die for, truly. Everything here comes in such a pretty shade, making this Rainwing stand out from the rest. I just love her face too, and everything that's there. This just blew me away, August. This might be one of my favorite Rainwing OC designs ever. She's just so dazzling. Wonderful job. In 11th place, we have this insane design by Kawaii Panda 8. Here's a little bit about their character, Ghost. This is Ghost. He's a pure Nightwing with Lucism, and not a Night Ice hybrid or albino Nightwing. My world takes place centuries after the canon, and in it is a cult that worships Darkstalker and his ideas. Ghost, being abandoned due to his condition and the fact that he does not look the best, got taken in by a family in this cult. They greatly dislike the Icewings and believe that all tribes be united by a higher power or monarch. He originally doesn't go by a name and chose Ghost as a nickname since he worked as an assassin, despite not being able to blend in the dark like a normal Nightwing. He worked hard there in hopes to rise, to attain the Blessing of the Three Moons, which is where an animus in the group grants animus powers to those that attain the boon, and is forever integrated into the Night Stalkers. Ghost is just the absolute coolest, holy cow. The various shades of white and gray just really stand out, and I love it. His teeth are so menacing, sharp, and unlike anything I've ever seen before. And his several horns? Oh my goodness, I cannot get over how sick that is. Especially because of each of them is decked out in rings and other trinkets. His ear, the detailed patterns going down his neck, his shocking eye, everything. It comes together so nicely to produce one of my favorite Wings of Fire fan character designs out there. Honestly, I'd love for a character to look like Ghost in the canon series. Imagine seeing somebody this cool on one of the official covers. I just love it. I truly do. Way to go, Kawaii Panda 8. And now, you guys, we're about to get into the top 10. It's only going to get crazier from here. Coming in 10th place, we have this Fire Scales Dragon created by Snickerdoodles. Here's a little bit about what they had to say about him. Alizarin is a Fire Scales who has, expectedly, been ostracized and singled out due to his condition, especially seeing as it's something Dragonets used to be killed for. However, Alizarin never let this discourage him, and instead of using his fire to hurt others, even if the jobs would likely pay well, he pursued his true passion for writing and art. It was hard for him to get his hands on materials he could use to create what he wanted to make, but he spent his time searching for materials and substances he could use to make fireproof tools, canvases, and paints with. As well as this, he often experimented with less common art forms, even some that were only possible due to his fire scales. Lazarin is just so cool. I've never thought about an artistic fire scales before, and that's just such an awesome idea. I adore all the different shades of red, orange, and yellow that just flow so perfectly on his scales. The green eyes truly pop, especially against Lazarin's glasses. He truly looks like a fire scales, and that's just reflected so well in his design. Snickerdoodles, wow, you absolutely had me shocked here. I love everything you did and all the work you put into the design. Stellar work. Flying in 9th place, we have Dragon Lover 95's character, Falcon. Let's see what they have to say about him. Falcon is a fireless Skywing, but due to a lot of bad luck, and by sheer coincidence, he thinks he's a Fire Scales. So, being fearful of what he's capable of, knowing about Peril and her capabilities, he eventually gets a set of enchanted armor from a traveling merchant. But they were an animus, that with which whatever they enchanted had the opposite desired effect. So if somebody wanted an earring that would kill whoever wore it, the ring would keep the wearer alive no matter what injuries they sustain. He was told that the armor would prevent his fire scales ability, but it turns out the armor actually causes fire scales instead. Most dragons know he's not actually a true fire scales, but just has a string of bad luck that often ends in things getting destroyed. They feel bad for him since he so strongly believes he's a fire scales, and they mostly run along with it. For starters, I genuinely love this story idea. I'd honestly do anything to see it actually incorporated into Wings of Fire. I could totally see this as a winglet, or even the story for a character in the next arc, even. It's just so creative and cool, and I can't get enough of thinking about it. And Falcon's design? Don't even get me started on how much I think it's just the best. A brown Skywing goes so hard, and the armor is a spectacular addition. I love his eyes so much, and I think the color is insanely pretty there. Everything here is just so awesome, and I could talk about Falcon for hours. Dr. Love 95, I'm simply awestruck right now. Heading in at number 8, we have Tiger Amessa's sandwing, Dusk. Dusk is a relatively small and dopey sandwing living in the tundra between the Sand and Ice Kingdom. If possible, he'd prefer to live up north more, but is unable to, as he'd freeze to death. He'd never liked the heat or the desert when he was young, and often stayed inside where it was cooler. When he was old enough to go off on his own, he left to the tundra and has stayed there since. Okay, we just have to talk about the adorable polar bear right next to Dusk in the sketch portion. So cute, and encapsulates Dusk's desires and interests perfectly. I've never seen a sandwing with such pretty colored scales, truly. And the venomous tail barb? Oh my goodness, it looks so good! Everything just works so well with Dusk. You did awesome, Tiger Mess. I love it. In 7th, we've got Random Mushrooms entry. This one is so special, so let's just take a look at some of what they wrote about Skua. Skua was greatly affected by the Ice Wing's training. She aimed to become everything a stereotypical Mudwing wasn't. She tried to be clever, but often fell short, and her intelligence became her greatest insecurity, although it was something she learned to live with later in life. As a trained fighter, she was strong, fast, and hard-working. One might think she would hate herself for being a Mudwing, but she actually thinks quite highly of herself, because she is better than other Mudwings, due to her thinking Icewing culture is superior. Her mother was in the Ice Kingdom for a business trip when she laid eggs. She needed to escape back to the Mud Kingdom because of the start of the War of Standing Succession, so out of selfishness, she abandoned her eggs, thinking they would die. An Icewing found the eggs, though, and reported them to officials, who planned to have them destroyed. Out of sympathy, General Ivory ordered for them to be raised by Icewing soldiers in order to fight for the kingdom later in life. They were all given Icewing names like Skua, a brown bird that lives in the Arctic. Skua's siblings didn't like her that much, which only caused her to become closer to her trainers and General Ivory, who was almost like a mother figure to her, always supporting her, even though she was absent a lot. Around age 4 or 5, her siblings plotted to escape the Mud Kingdom in the middle of the night. They dreamed of the warm, damp swamps, but Skua was attached to the Ice Kingdom. A fight broke out between them. Skua's siblings escaped, and they thought Skua was sleeping, but she alerted the guards after they left, and she never found out what happened to them. After her act of loyalty, Skua was treated with a lot more respect. She was put on the battlefield at age 6. Sometimes she would disguise herself as an ordinary Mudwing and surprise them. Other times she'd wear Icewing armor and fight as an Icewing soldier. Okay, I'm not lying here when I say this might be my favorite Wings of Fire OC story, ever. Dude, I'm so in love with this. Random Mushroom, if you're watching this, I need to see anything right about Skua, and anything else you draw. I was actually so in shock after reading about her, and seeing the fantastic design that went along with the story. Besides having a stunning tail, Skua's design speaks marvels. The jewelry, Icewing armor, beautiful browns, everything. It all just glitters so well, and Skua's design is beyond mesmerizing. In the eyes, so sick. Can't get over this dude. What a truly jaw-dropping character in just every way. Random Mushroom, I am now your biggest fan. In 6th place, we have this adorable entry by Cryptid Cat Arts. Here's what they had to say about the OC from their submission. Locust is a full highwing who works at the local traveling circus. She loves performing and making young dragonets laugh. Cryptid Cat Arts added, I've never seen a Hivewing performer, so I decided to make one. Stop, this is so amazing! The yellow streak designs look so cute and go incredibly well with the black of her main body. A performing Hivewing is something I've never seen either, and I love that idea. Every bit of yellow just shines and pops, and I can't get over how much I love the color palette. The hoops around Locust's tail are such good additions too. Her style and the stage background add wonders to this masterpiece of a character. And the wings just top it off so nicely. I'd love to see more of Locust. And now, we're getting into the top 5. These are going to be wild, y'all. Tosi, our 5th place winner, submitted Pluto, an albino Nightwing. Here's what they had to say about him. He's shy, awkward, and kind, but a skilled fighter and quite stealthy. He was born on the Nightwing Island, being the younger brother of Deathbringer. Although Pluto was outcasted by the rest of the tribe for his odd appearance, Moroseer saw potential in him for missions in the Ice Kingdom, as he would easily blend in. Pluto never enjoyed being an assassin. Each kill would leave him with an awful feeling of guilt for weeks. But he was very good at what he did, and he knew what would happen if he chose not to. Moroseer would likely have him killed if he wasn't useful for the tribe, and he would be a bad look for them. He sent off to the island for his first mission before his brother. This was the task to assassinate a certain general for interfering with the Talons of Peace, attempting to bring the Queen into fighting back. Quite a big task for a first time, but Pluto and Moroseer were given enough information from an Icewing Talons member to know that the general would be in the outskirts of the Ice Kingdom when Pluto would strike. It didn't quite go as planned. The Icewing was much larger, and after a long fight, Pluto managed a few non-lethal strikes for being thrown back and knocked unconscious. He woke up to find himself being tended to by 2 Icewings. They explained how they were in the 7th Circle and lived in a town completely separate from the palace. They made it clear how almost everyone there disliked the Upper Circle dragons. When a few higher-ranked ones came out in patrol, it caused nothing but trouble. The 2 Icewings cared for Pluto for a few days, but Nightwings aren't meant to withstand the cold conditions that Pluto was in. So after talking with his friends, he set off to leave near the border, where there were a few dragons and warm temperatures. He knew what awaited him back home wouldn't be pleasant. It wasn't far from the Icewing village, and he quickly became a frequent visitor of it. The Icewings accepted Pluto as one of them, and now he lives peacefully away from the Night Kingdom and his former job. Stop. This is my second favorite Wappo story ever. This is such a clever and beautiful tale, and totally something I can see happening in canon. Again, where's a winglet on this? Tui, take some notes. Not only is Pluto's story awesome, but his design just takes the cake too. An albino Nightwing truly shines, because they have all the traits of their tribe, just with the whiteness of an Icewing. The scars, the pretty wings, the eyes, the jewelry. Gosh, I could talk about how much I love Pluto for literally an entire novel. So amazing. In 4th, we have this outstanding Seawing created by Sparkles. Here's what they wrote about him. Kelvin is an Icewing Seawing hybrid that is obsessed with fire and its destructive properties. Born with neither frost breath nor fully developed gills, Kelvin felt outcasted from both the tribes he belonged to. When he was a young dragonet, he ran away from the Kingdom of Sand, and he was enamored with how Sandwings can breathe fire easily, and wished to harness the abilities himself. Nowadays, he's fully decked out in gear that causes chaos and havoc throughout kingdoms with his fire starters and his seemingly endless amounts of dragonflame cacti, which he grows himself. Sparkles, this is the coolest thing ever! A Seawing Icewing hybrid that loves fire? That's just so epic, and Kelvin's design goes along perfectly with that idea. The amount of detail here is astounding. I've literally been staring at this art piece for like 30 minutes. The striking shades of blue, the fire design on his wings, Kelvin's fireproof goggles, glowing wisp eyes, various satchels, pattern or makeup around his eyes, all of it. I literally love this so much. Kelvin turned out absolutely stunning, and I couldn't imagine anything better. And now, our top 3. Coming in 3rd place, I present to you Newt Spring's creation. Lucid is utterly fantastic and interesting, and I can't wait for you all to read what Piper put about her. This is Lucid. She is special because she's an all-wing, and despite being every tribe, she has no powers, even skywing speed and silking weather forecasting. She's very quiet but absolutely lovely, who loves to read and write all day about fantasy and folktale. She got her name from being a big dreamer about writing the best stories in all the lands. She was born actually from an Anna's spell who put an Alwyn curse on her egg. Her parents loved her regardless of these looks, though, and try to support her in any way. Lucid lives in possibility, writing her days away in fantastic tales, adventure, comedy, romance, and every other genre under the sun. This is no ordinary Alwyn OC, as the description suggests, and not just in abilities, but also appearance. Lucid, phenomenal name by the way, has the most gorgeous rainbow coloring I've ever seen on any character in my life. The detailed patterns, intricate eyes, everything. Piper is an absolute master at design, and that's displayed so perfectly here. Lucid is so sparkly, unique, creative, and the definition of eye candy to look at. A round of applause, Newt Spring, because you just made one of the sickest dragon OCs ever. You may be wondering how it gets crazier than that, and oh boy, let me just show you. Ripple Draw submitted an insanely one-of-a-kind Silkwing character. Let's go read about her. This is Duchess. She's a classy Silkwing with elegant features. She works by day as a model, and by night, she's a mass murderer and assassin. Possibly a bit insane? She affiliates with numerous gangs across Pantala, and has been rumored in some circles to even have been hired by Queen Wasp. Needless to say, she has used her outside appearance to gain the trust of more than a few dragons. This little lady is not as trustworthy as she looks. When I first opened this entry, I audibly gasped. I've never seen something so original in the Wings of Fire fandom, and I am here for it. The crazy in Duchess's eyes you can spot from the other side of the mirror contrast with her vanity and composure on the regular side. Actual chills. The makeup and other beauty products, stunning oranges, and clothing just put the icing on the cake. I'm now totally going to imagine Silkwings and Hivelings as looking this classy. I'm actually about to geek out because of the art here and everything it symbolizes. Duchess, another amazing name, and so fitting for the character, just gives such a lasting impression. If you're watching this, Ripple Draws, I would love to see and read more about her. Man, what an amazing take and beautiful design. And now, my dear viewers, our first place winner. It was so incredibly tough to only select one to rise above them all, but alas, I have come to my decision. Give a massive round of applause to CryoC for being our top one. Let me tell you some of what they put for Flannel, the Silkwing they sent in for the contests. To most, Flannel is a ray of sunshine. She's motherly and sweet, if ditzy and a bit stupid. To others, she's a brilliant, calculative leader who's confident and unshakable in her ways. In reality, she's so tired. Well, yes, she's brilliant, and yes, she's a leader. She's so tired of it. She feels hollow and alone, switching between these two facades. The only dragon that keeps Flannel together is her eventual husband, Picasso. He's the only one that allows her to be raw and real. She has a hard time trusting, leaving herself to carry a lot of her burdens alone in the beginning. As she opens out to Picasso, things get easier, but Flannel still doesn't tell him everything. She's level-headed but stoic. Not mean per se, but has some trouble with deep personal relationships. She's got a terrible fashion sense, which is actually how she met Picasso. He's a bit of a fashionista that keeps her up to date on high-wing politics, customs, and fashion trends. He's the reason she stays among the upper circles of high-wing society. Picasso is the more mellow of the two, but he isn't weak. He tries his hardest to be Flannel's rock, her safe space. Flannel is the leader of the Wasp Hive division of the Chrysalis, and she means business. She fought hard for position and continues to fight to keep herself in it. She ventures into the higher circles of hiving society with her carefully crafted, sweet but dumb persona, gathering intel and analyzing with the help of a carefully selected Silkwing and Picasso. In front of the Chrysalis is where her confident, leaderly charm comes in. Even those that want her position can't help but admire how fantastic she is at the job. By the end of books 11 through 15, she's so tired. She's ready to drop all of this fighting, but keeps her steadfast and confident appearances up in front of her people, especially when they go to Pyria. After book 15, she's finally able to settle down. Her and Picasso get married, and she takes to writing. Flannel loves writing novels, a hobby she didn't have time for in the rebellion. Picasso goes into illustration or fashion design, and they get their own little happily ever after in their secluded mountainside cottage. Flannel is actually based on a southern flannel moth, and Picasso is based on a Picasso bug. My jaw literally fell to the floor when I saw this one, and I became so amazed. I don't think I've ever seen such pretty and original silkweed designs before. Both Flannel and Picasso stand out so much with their glamorous colors, awe-striking patterns, emotional expressions, and grand story. There's so much intricacy in every little detail, making both of these characters feel so lively and thought out. I can just see the hard work that was put into both Flannel and Picasso, and I'm here for their love story. I mean, what spectacular designs to end this contest off with. Thank you so much to everybody who submitted a character. I looked through each and every entry, and it was so hard to choose just 15. If yours is in here, be sure to comment down below. Give all these artists lots of praise because they really outdid themselves. Thank you all so much for watching to the end. It means so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.